Good morning and welcome back to the channel. Do you know what? I was starting to think that I wasn't going to get in time to actually take any photographs of bluebells. They seem to have been around for a number of weeks now, and as luck would have it, on every day I should say, that I've had the opportunity to go out, the weather conditions have just been awful. It's just been really dull and miserable and generally raining. So it was nice to get up this morning and find that the conditions weren't too bad, although I wasn't expecting them. So I looked out the window and thought, oh look, we've got a bit of mainly clear sky, the sun's quite nice, and it's not raining, although I think it rained during the night, and there's certainly, not that you can tell from this image, there's certainly plenty of dew kicking around. It's still fairly early. I didn't bother getting up for sunrise, because as I'm about in a bit of woodland, that probably wasn't really going to do me much good or do me any favours. So I left it a little bit longer, let the sun come up a little bit, so that I knew that we'd get some light coming through the trees. So I think I'm just going to take a bit of a wander and see if I can get myself some oranges. Well, as I've started walking through the wood, I seem to have lost the light. I think, well, I don't think, I know, because I'm further into the wood, the sun's not penetrating as much, mostly because it's not very high, and also the outer edges of this woodland, they butt onto a main road, which means it's quite open and you get a lot more light coming through. So, as pretty as all this looks, there's no dappled light across the woodland floor, which is disappointing. It also means that all the bluebells are still covered in dew at the minute and look a little bit bedraggled. Though I think if I get something in the right light, I wonder if I can get some light reflecting off the dew. That's a thought. I'll try that one. And then perhaps make my way to back towards the edge of the wood and see what I can get then. Well, after the best part of a week of mostly rain, it's definitely nice to be out and about, especially at this time of year. I think this is the first time I've properly been out for spring this year. A few weeks ago I was up in Scotland, but spring hadn't arrived yet. I think it's possibly still not there even now. But yeah, it's just great to be out. Especially considering yesterday I felt absolutely awful. So 2 days ago I had my first jab. Got to be honest, the first day was not a problem. It was all fine. I think I had a slight bit of numbness in my arm for a matter of minutes, and that was confined to just the area where I had the jab. But then I had a rough night. So I woke up I don't know how many times, of having a strange yet familiar dream, feeling slightly delusional, and yeah, didn't get up until about midday yesterday. Unfortunately I then had to go to work. I was doing a later shift, which is never the greatest thing at the best of times. So you can imagine how productive I was. I still feel a little bit frayed around the edges this morning, but certainly feel a lot better than I did yesterday. Nice little patch of light coming through. Still quite a way into the woods, so the light's still not getting here much at the minute, but you start to get there. Change arms. Yeah, so yeah, still a little bit frayed around the edges, but yeah, surprisingly I got up this morning and pretty much got straight up and came straight out, which is a novelty in and of itself. Right, I'm going to stop waffling. I should call this the waffle channel. Right, sorry, I'm going to stop. I'm going to go off in search of this nice light. Well, I've come across my first scene, and this scene is actually more about a tree than bluebells. If I just turn the camera, you can see that tree about there. Just caught my eye as I was walking by. It's nicely lit by some backstroke side light, and I've slightly underexposed, possibly by about a stop once I'd focused in on it, and yeah, I was capturing some quite nice light on that tree. It's nice because that tree is a nice bright green, and most of the background is dark, particularly the bits of the trunk, and even the green behind it is quite dark because it's not in the light. So yeah, makes for a nice little image. Well, I don't know if you could hear that. It's a deer just over the way. Unfortunately, I haven't got a big enough lens on this camera to possibly zoom in enough and capture it. I think by the time I get my other camera back out, it'll be gone. But it seems to be having a bit of a shout. I did notice a smaller one, so I was possibly looking for its foal. Either that or it's seen me, and it's having a good shout about it. Then again, looking at the way it's running backwards and forwards, I think it's looking for its foal. I did find it wasn't too far away from it. It was like less than probably 10 seconds. Love nature. So it's a shame I couldn't get that on camera. It's just bounding around. Still calling. You'd have thought its foal would have answered by now. Its foal wasn't actually that far away from it as they came through. It's a matter of seconds. But then again, I imagine if you're a little foal, you're not going to be easily seen. But I don't know about you, when I was a kid and my mum came shouting, I went. Well, I'm sure they'll find each other. Anyway, before I got distracted by some deer, I was going to say that despite the fact that the bluebells are very pretty, so you can hear the car, sorry about that, I don't know if you can see, but the actual area of woodland I'm in is actually quite, well, the ground is quite messy and quite distracting. There's just lots of fallen branches, cut branches, bits of old tree stump, bits of old tree, which is a real shame. And so I managed to find the light. I'm going to try, but I may struggle to find a composition in this little area. It was a bit cleaner further in, but there isn't the light. But as the sun comes up, that might get better. Right, in search of images I go. So here's the image I've got set up. As you can see, along the left hand side we've got a bit of a trackway. Not sure whether that's human or animal made, and then in the left back corner, not quite the back corner, there's a fallen tree. I just thought that made for a bit of interest. In the bottom right, some fallen branches, just a bit of foreground interest, and then you can just see there's like a sea of bluebells going over that rise in the land. It's not the best image in the world, but it's a nice little scene. Also struggling with the light a little bit. I've had to underexpose this quite a bit because the light was quite harsh as I was taking it. It's softening a bit now, so I might just try another image, and then it might just be easier to lighten that up rather than take down the brightness in Lightroom. Well, I had thought my day was done. The sun had gone behind a cloud, and I thought that was some cloud that was expected to bring some rain with it, or possibly bring some rain with it later this morning. Turns out that's not the case, because the sun has come back out. And for the last half hour or so, I've just been in a kind of small area. I've probably travelled no more than, well, I was just down there, just a bit past these bits of old tree trunk. Yeah, I've not been very far at all in the last half hour. We've got a few little images, nothing spectacular, but I think they're nice enough. But I think it's just nice being out. It's nice having some decent weather. Like I said, the last week or so it's just been a bit miserable. So it was nice to get out, and I'm glad I did get out. I very nearly didn't, but I'm glad I did. Anyway, I think I'm going to call it a day for the video. I may have a bit more of a pot around and see if I can get any more images. If I do, they'll come up shortly along with the ones that I've just done from this area. And actually I think this may be a shorter video than normal. Yes, will it be under 10 minutes though? Wait and see. Well, you'll know already. I've got to wait and see, but I've got to get back home a bit on the computer and see what happens. Anyway, hope you've enjoyed today's video. Please like and subscribe, all that jazz, and look after yourselves, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now.